IDF and Mossad have once again acted with bravery and audacity, and we should commend them as well.
And Senator Cotton is keeping a close eye on one particular spot inside of Iran.
Fordo, though, as you ask, is really the key terrain because it's the biggest single site and it's buried deep under a mountain. It's kind of been the tell all along that Iran plans to build nuclear weapons. Otherwise, why are they enriching uranium beyond civilian purposes at a deep fortified underground bunker?
Senator Cotton made his comments to the Salem radio network. Louisiana could soon raise taxes on sports betting to help finance the athletic departments at many of its public universities. Slow going on Wall Street. The Dow was down 274 points. The Nasdaq off 161. More from townhall.com.
The following is an America Matters media production. The views expressed do not necessarily represent those of the station or its advertisers, although we think they should. But that's the opinion of America Matters Media.
Oh, for me, oh, such a breeze. It's just another word for nothing left to lose. Over me.
Well, you certainly know what that theme song means by now. That's right. It's time for another episode of America Matters. I'm your host, Leo Zacky, with Joshua Matriciana today. And folks, we got a great show for you. We got a great interview coming up. But before we do any of that, I want to give a big shout out, hello, welcome, and thank you to all of our listeners out there on 93.7 KPGF as well as AM 1060. And also all the folks out there listening on AUN Television, Radio for America, the Salem Network, the Answer Network, and the Kevin Jackson Network. And a big thank you to all of the people that make it happen there. Thank you so much for helping spread the message, spread the truth, get that information to all of you. Don't forget, folks, you can always watch this episode again or comment live on it at America Matters Media's Facebook or LinkedIn page, or you can go to Zacky Radio on YouTube or Rumble. We'd love to have you there. Don't forget to follow us on all the social media platforms, especially Instagram. We love Instagram for getting that content to you guys. So that's Zacky Radio, or you can always follow me on Instagram or X at Leo S. Zacky. Make sure you do because we got so much great stuff for you. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. So, well, let's jump into things. You know, what's happened to common sense? Have you ever stopped and asked yourself where the hell it's gone in this country? Well, we used to be the land of free speech, open debate, personal responsibility, and, well, now you say one thing outside the approved narrative, and, well, they treat you like a criminal. You ask a question, you get flagged. You speak your mind, you get banned. You try to protect your kid, well, you get investigated. What kind of country are we becoming? You know, it's so crazy. You know, today we're going to talk about the war on truth and how we got here, and who's running it, and, well, how we're going to take it back. But here's the twist. You can't understand what's happening today until you look at how we got here. Because this didn't start with COVID. And it won't end there either. So let me take you back. Poland, 1980. A shipyard electrician named Lech Wysulia stands up to a Soviet puppet government. No guns, no tech, just courage. And the truth. He leads a workers' strike that sparks the Solidarity movement. And 10 years later, well, communism collapses across Eastern Europe. They didn't have Twitter. They didn't have a voice on state media. They had each other. Or take Egypt in 2011. Young people sick of corruption. Well, they used Facebook to organize protests, take down a dictator. You know, just regular people. But they were risking their lives to say, enough. You see where I'm going with this? This country was built by people just like that. Patriots who said no more to a system that taxed them, spied on them, and, well, tried to break their spirit. So fast forward to today, and they've got a new name for tyranny. They call it public safety. They forced businesses to close while corporate giants raked in record profits. That's how they kept your kid out of school. That's while their own kids got private tutors. That's how they labeled dissenting doctors as, well, dangerous. Even though they were right, but they went against the narrative. And look, I don't care what side of the political fence you're on. This isn't about left or right anymore, okay? This is about liberty versus control and truth versus propaganda. And right now, the people running the show in California are playing a very dangerous game. They're building a system where disagreement equals disobedience, and disobedience gets punished. But let me say this loud and clear. Questioning authority is not a crime. It's the foundation of a free society. I've seen this playbook before. They create crisis, they tell you it's for your safety, then they take your rights, and they don't give them back. But guess what? People are waking up. You've got doctors, scientists, veterans, farmers, regular folks standing up and saying, not this time. And if you think they're just going to sit down and shut up, you don't know what this country's made of. Because coming up next, we're going to expose exactly how they pulled this off, how big tech, big government, big pharma, they locked arms during the pandemic, the scamdemic, the plandemic, and grabbed control over your body, your voice, and your future. And this wasn't a response. It was just a power grab, okay? And you need to know what happened because they're getting ready to do it again. So stick around. The story is just getting started. I'm Leo Zacky. This is America Matters with Joshua and Triciana. We'll be right back.
Wake up and text. Text and eat. Text and catch the bus. Text and miss your stop. Wait. Text and be late to work. Sorry, I'm late. Text and work. Text and pretend to work. Text and act surprised when someone calls you out for not working.
Who, me?
Text and meet up with a friend you haven't seen in forever.
Hi.
Oh, hey.
Text and complain that they're on their phone the whole time. Text and listen to them complain that you're on your phone the whole time. Text and whatever. But when you get behind the wheel, give your phone to a passenger. Put it in the glove box. Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
In times of market volatility, it can be a good reminder to revisit your financial strategies to make sure they align with your goals. Call 775-674-2222 or visit nvretirementplanners.com. Advisory services are offered through Nevada Retirement Planners, an investment advisor in the state of Nevada. Any insurance products and services are offered through Nevada Senior Advisors. Nevada Retirement Planners are not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any government agency. Nevada Retirement Planners does not provide legal or tax advice.
Unable to listen to the whole show? A recording of today's program will be available later today. Visit americamatters.us and click on the podcast link. Now back to the show.
And we're back on America Matters with Leo Zacky. I'm Joshua Matriciano. Coming up next will be Leo's interview with Dr. Malone. But before we get into that, I want to pick up where Leo left off a little bit on this thing called common sense. Common sense is dead in California, and somebody killed it. But this didn't happen by accident. This was a hostile takeover, coordinated, funded, enforced. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on how they lock down the truth, hijack science, and turn public health into a political weapon. Let's get right into it. Here's the truth they don't want you to hear. The biggest censorship in modern America, in modern American history, wasn't about stopping terrorists or protecting national security. It was about silencing doctors, real doctors, experts, scientists, people like Dr. Robert Malone, who you're about to hear from. He helped invent the very mRNA technology they used during COVID. But the second he stepped out of line, poof, gone from social media, slapped with misinformation labels, treated like a threat to national security. This wasn't just cancel culture. It was federal censorship. Emails now show that the CDC, the Surgeon General, and the Biden White House all worked hand in glove with Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube to silence dissenting voices during the pandemic. What were they censoring? Well, data on natural immunity, concerns about adverse events, alternative treatments, and worst of all, basic human rights to medical choice. They even pressured Spotify to silence Joe Rogan for having conversations. Think about that. Not promoting violence, not pushing crime, just asking real questions. If asking questions is now a crime, we're no longer living in a republic. We're living in a technocratic state where power is protected by algorithms instead of laws. And here's where California comes in. The state wasn't just compliant, it was the testing ground. Sacramento passed a bill, AB 2098, that let the state medical board revoke a doctor's license. They shared COVID misinformation, but who defines that? The CDC, the WHO, Gavin Newsom, these are all the same people who told us cloth masks worked and schools should stay closed while they partied maskless at the French Laundry. It gets darker. While they shut down small businesses, they doubled the profits of Pfizer and Moderna. While you were told to stay inside and close your church, Big Pharma made record-breaking billions. And the media, they were paid handsomely to push the party line. You probably never saw this on CNN, but the U.S. government paid over $1 billion to media outlets during the pandemic to promote vaccines and suppress dissent. This was listed in the HHS Public Spending Disclosures of 2022. That's not journalism. That's literally propaganda. Now, fast forward, the same systems are still in place. The same people still control the levels of speech. The same unelected bureaucrats and corporate donors are calling the shots. They just rebranded. It's no longer about COVID. Now it's equity in health, misinformation about climate, medical extremism. Same playbook, new label. And let me say this loud and clear. If we don't tear out this censorship machine by the roots, it will keep coming back. Today, it's about vaccines. Tomorrow, it's about what you can say about elections, gender, parenting, farming, water rights, anything they want to control. What we're up against isn't just a corrupt system. It's a coordinated cartel of tech companies, corporate media, federal agencies, and non-elected policy enforcers. This is how they seized control during COVID. Scare the public, silence the dissent, reward the obedience, and punish the independent. And don't think that they're done. Just last month, Senator Ed Markey introduced legislation to fund a new division of the CDC focused entirely on combating medical misinformation. That's code for shut up and comply. Meanwhile, states like California are trying to set up digital vaccine passports and surveillance infrastructure under the guise of public health and safety equity. Here's the bottom line. The government used a crisis to grab power. Big tech helped them control the narrative. And now they're trying to make it permanent. But not on Leo Zacky's watch, not on our watch. Up next, you're going to hear from someone who knows the system from the inside, Dr. Robert Malone. He's been banned, attacked, defamed, and still stood his ground. He was in the White House when the new Make America Healthy Again Commission was announced. He's working directly with the Trump administration and with Secretary RFK Jr. to reshape the future of medicine, transparency, and trust in this country. What he shares might shock you. What he's exposing should terrify every American who believes in liberty. But don't be afraid. Be ready. Because this movement what we're building here in California and across the United States is how we take it all back. Coming up, the inside story of what the media won't report, the establishment can't explain, and the government tried to hide. This is where things get real. Stick with us right after this break. Before we get into the interview with Leo Zacky and Dr.
Men and women, from all-season shoes and orthotics to work boots and safety shoes, our professional and reliable staff possesses the knowledge to help you find the proper shoes to fit your needs. Hard to fit? Hard to find?
A Proper Fit Footwear is here to give our customers happy feet. We make people aware of potential foot problems as we're sizing their feet, suggesting the right arch support, and guiding them to the proper shoes for their needs.
Stop by a Proper Fit Footwear at 4001 South Virginia Street in the Reno Town Mall today, and allow the owner Mike Jones and our fabulous staff to find the perfect pair of shoes tailored to your specific needs.
A Proper Fit Footwear in the Reno Town Mall, the home of happy feet, where comfort and your feet meet.
In northern Nevada, there's a one-of-a-kind home that provides temporary overnight lodging when veterans or family members are receiving medical care in the Reno area, some from hundreds of miles away. Too often, overnight accommodations are a financial and logistical challenge. Stephanie Tanksley and her husband are veterans who come for treatment from Bishop, California.
We were lucky enough to be connected to the guest house so that I could stay for 10 nights when my husband was in the hospital. So I was able to visit him every day. It was just a blessing.
Veterans Guest House is privately supported by individual and community donations from people like you who recognize our responsibility to support our heroes. And no government money is received for day-to-day operation of the house.
Please support this organization. The Veterans Guest House is an amazing resource for veterans. Supporting this organization is one of the best ways that you can donate your time and your money just to help our veterans and their families.
Find out how you can help at veteransguesthouse.org.
Okay, we are running a car drive right now to help veterans all across America. So if you have an old car, truck, or van, even a motorcycle or an RV sitting around, you can right now give it away and help the vets. They really need your help. And your car will help support the vets and their families. And guess what? You even get a tax donation. Plus, we'll even come and pick up your car for free. And all you've got to do is pick up your phone right now and make a free call. Now is the perfect time to do something good for the vets. Give back to the vets right now for all they've done for this country. And your old car can really help them. So call the Veterans Car Donation Program right now for free pickup of your vehicle. Help the vets and help your taxes at the same time. Call right now.
800-296-1259. 800-296-1259. 800-296-1259. That's 800-296-1259.
Are you shy and don't want to talk on the air? Text us your questions or comments to 775-237-2266. Now back to the show.
All right, folks, welcome back to America Matters. I'm Leo Zacky. Joining me right now at Freedom Fest is the amazing Dr. Robert Malone. Doctor, thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you for being here at Freedom Fest. You've come a long way to be here. You've been a fantastic leader in the Healthy Save America movement, making America healthy again. And you were on stage yesterday, I know, with Dell, and they were doing that mock trial.
Yes.
So that was a lot of fun.
I think we'd made it fun. That was the intention, was not to take ourselves too seriously. I like to always keep in mind Ronald Reagan's guidance to always try to be a happy warrior.
I like that. You know, coming in strong, but positive at all times. I love that. What are some of the big things that you're seeing take place now that we've got RFK Jr. in, we've got Trump in? These are the things that we were all kind of hoping for, to see things improve. Are you seeing the change take place in the manner that you would like, or is it happening too slowly, or are there things that they're leaving out?
So there is a school of thought in the base for the Make America Healthy Again movement, and what has been also defined as the medical freedom movement. Those are different, by the way. That asserts that Secretary Kennedy is not moving fast enough, that he is failing his campaign promise to take the mRNA products off the market. But in fact, that was never one of his campaign promises. That's also a false narrative. You know, there's fake news on all sides, and we have to be really careful that we track things down and verify what is truth, and don't just accept what a particular influencer wants us to believe, whether they're coming from the left or the right. To my eyes, what I'm seeing with both the larger Trump administration and with Secretary Kennedy and the Make America Healthy Again all of government coalition is that they're moving extremely rapidly. So we had recently this report that, of course, was vilified in the press and attacked because there was a few references that were out of line, et cetera, from the Make America Healthy Again Commission. I was there in the White House when they announced that and they rolled out their findings. And that represents, remember, Secretary Kennedy has been in office for, I think, about 2 months, and since his confirmation. So the president had created, by executive order, this all-of-government entity called the Make America Healthy Again Commission. And as one of their first deliverables after their first 100 days, they were tasked with coming up with what is effectively a threat assessment, having to do with the threat to Americans' health, and in particular, I mean, underscore this, President Trump really cares about children. The main focus of the MAHA Commission is children and children's health. And the stunning top-line finding was that the children of America are on track to be less healthy and live shorter lives than their parents. That's not right. The question is why? The commission report is a stunning all-of-government assessment of the potential causes. So, and it is very much a consensus document. It's something that a lot of people also don't get, is that this is a political document. It, you know, as I say, I'm sure you're very familiar, you know, if you don't like the heat, stay out of the kitchen, and that if you want to watch how politics happens, it's a lot like watching how sausage gets made. It's not a pretty picture, and it's all compromise. And when you have a all-of-government commission coming up with a set of initial analyses of what's happening in American health, each of those cabinet-level offices reflects different constituencies. USDA reflects big ag and American farmers. The Treasury reflects the interests of Wall Street and other large financial organizations. HHS has its constituency, et cetera, et cetera. And the report that came out was the product of all of these different constituencies jostling in a political environment over a very short period of time to come up with a consensus that they could all live with. And so, no surprise that, for instance, issues relating to pesticide use in agriculture were downplayed because there was representation from USDA saying that we need to protect our American farmers. And the president explicitly acknowledged that. The president explicitly in the rollout acknowledged the importance of the farm vote. He's very, very aware of the midterms coming up. The kind of thing that you're very aware of also. I mean, it would be nice if we could live in a pure world in which the only thing that mattered was right and wrong and ideal principles, and we could all act based on ideal principles. But the fact is that one person's truth is another person's falsehood. One person's interest and priority is another person's opposition. And all of that has to get worked out in the political process. It takes time.
They're playing a political game because they want to
It's not a game. It is how politics happen, because these various agencies represent different constituencies that have different interests. And so somehow they have to come to a compromise. Remember, back in the day, we used to have compromise politics. We didn't have this bipolar, I hate you and you hate me, and we're never going to come to an agreement about anything, which is what's characterized American politics, particularly after the last couple of Democrat presidents. But for instance, the governor of California, who is a smash mouth, unapologetic, hardcore liberal, on the verge of, we could use a lot of other terms for where he sits on the political spectrum, but far left, I think we can all agree on that. Politics is a complex business, and for those that are disenchanted, I'm sorry, but we have to live in the real world, and Secretary Kennedy in particular now no longer has the latitude to speak his mind completely. He has to operate, remember, he has a boss.
Right.
The boss's name is Trump, okay? And below Trump is another boss, his name is Susie Wiles. And Ms. Wiles and President Trump, rightfully so, have the authority to set agendas and to veto policy initiatives and to direct general policy agenda. That he's the president. She's the chief of staff. That's the way things are. And so whether or not Secretary Kennedy might wish to immediately ban RNA vaccines, for example, is irrelevant, because if the president is not on board, it ain't gonna happen. Furthermore, the Secretary of HHS is not a king. The Secretary of HHS is a public servant and has to enforce the law as legislated by Congress. And if Congress enacts a bill, like the Pandemic and All Hazards Preparedness Act, that mandates certain things, Secretary Kennedy does not have the latitude to suddenly disagree with Congress in their enacted bill. He has to operate within the territory that he is allocated by Congress. And that's just the way things are. So what I see is amazing progress given the obstacles and the constraints. And what I see, going back, we recently wrote an essay on our Substack in which we used AI to go back and analyze all of Secretary Kennedy's political promises during his campaign. And what surprised us, having gone through that exercise, was that he is punching through those campaign promises at amazing speed. He's just ticking off the list. And I'm reminded that Secretary Kennedy is a battle-tested lawyer that has been taking on the government and big pharma his entire life, and big ag, and big chemical, with the Monsanto decision. He's been committed to the issue of mercury poisoning. This goes back to water keepers, which was his original base, in mercury in fish. That's how come he got brought into the vaccine controversy, because of mercury, from his position about mercury and heavy metal contamination in fish. And that is what he spent his life doing. And what I found fascinating in reviewing what he said during the campaign and what he's saying now is he was actually very careful in his wording, very lawyerly in what he said and when he said it, to not box himself in. He was very careful in what he said during his confirmation hearing. And he has very actively protected his operational freedom. And he's now moving through those tasks really at amazing speed, including now this recent action of retiring all the members of the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices at the CDC, and then recreating that committee with new personnel that no longer have conflicts of interest and ties to the pharmaceutical industry. And yet, if you look at the CVs of the people he appointed, and their academic positions or past academic positions, they are far superior to the CVs of the people that were on the prior ACIP. Now, I'm being attacked right now by corporate media like nobody's business because I'm kind of like the red meat, high-profile character. I have a much larger social media following than the others, and it's like catnip for the media. They're coming at me hard and fast, and I have a sneaky suspicion that Secretary Kennedy anticipated that, and he knew that having been through the grist mill before, I could handle it. But in a way, I'm kind of the scarecrow that is getting all their fire and is distracting them from attacking other members. And I'm okay if that's how they want to play the game. But I'm reminded that under Secretary Mayorkas in the prior administration, these three words became used routinely: mis, dis, and malinformation, right? And the accusation, you can look at my Wikipedia page, and one of the big accusations, or the New York Times, or the upcoming Atlantic Monthly article, or go on and on and on. One of the big accusations is that I'm a spreader of misinformation. Okay, but and this has been weaponized, this term, misinformation. It's now cast, they say it so darkly, it's made a sin. Ooh, you spread misinformation.
You've been listening to my interview with Dr. Robert Malone. Stay tuned to hear the rest of this fascinating discussion right after this commercial break.
At A Proper Fit Footwear in the Reno Town Mall, we've been accomplishing happy feet for over 30 years.
We offer a various range of shoe styles and sizes for both men and women. From all-season shoes and orthotics to work boots and safety shoes, our professional and reliable staff possesses the knowledge to help you find the proper shoes to fit your needs. Hard to fit? Hard to find?
A Proper Fit Footwear is here to give our customers happy feet. We make people aware of potential foot problems as we're sizing their feet, suggesting the right arch support, and guiding them to the proper shoes for their needs.
Stop by A Proper Fit Footwear at 4001 South Virginia Street in the Reno Town Mall today, and allow the owner Mike Jones and our fabulous staff to find the perfect pair of shoes tailored to your specific needs.
A Proper Fit Footwear in the Reno Town Mall, the home of happy feet, where comfort and your feet meet.
We're talking to Victor from Precision Diamonds. Victor, I don't know anything about jewelry at all. I don't know anything about diamonds. I need to get something for my lady.
Well, you know what, Jim? Come on in. We are your local jeweler, and we want to be your personal shopper. For 27 years, we know that we are doing business directly with the right manufacturers. We have negotiated great prices. They have the right trend, the right designs, quality, from earrings to pendants to you name it, we've got it.
That means you're going to help me from beginning to end.
My family, we've been working for this for a long time. I don't know how to change oil or anything, but I know diamonds. I know jewelry. So if you want to come in, you don't have to worry about anything. We'll find the exact gift that you're looking for that's going to make you look like $1 million, that you really took the time and effort to choose something, not just say, I'll take this. You know, your lady will know that you took the time and found a beautiful gift for her.
Thank you, Victor. Precision Diamonds, your local jeweler across from the convention center.
To join the conversation, call 844-790-TALK. That's 844-790-8255. Now back to the show.
And we're back from our commercial break. Continuing on with my conversation with Dr. Robert Malone here on Zacky Radio.
What is misinformation? Okay, particularly when it's coming from a bona fide expert, which I am. Okay, misinformation is another word for legitimate scientific dissent. Okay, misinformation is any information which differs from the position of your government's public health office at that point in time, because they change.
Well, the science is always changing.
Yeah, precisely. So it's at that point in time, if a scientist or a physician is saying something different than what your nation's public health service is saying, or the WHO, then you are spreading misinformation because you're saying something different.
Doesn't mean it's not true.
Precisely.
It just means that
It's
they don't
different.
agree with it.
Right, at that point in time.
Right.
Now, let's talk about the next word in that unholy trilogy, disinformation. Disinformation is misinformation spread for political purposes. And then the third word is the best of all, for those that have an ironic sense of humor. Malinformation is any information which would, whether true or false, would cause the receiver of that information to have more distrust of the government. Anyone deemed guilty of spreading dis, or malinformation about COVID, and remember, it's all defined based on what the current government party line is, okay, is a domestic terrorist. And so, as disclosed by Tulsi Gabbard, FBI opened up investigations on people, presumably me too, that were accused of spreading dis, and malinformation. Now let's take it to the present. Let's just take my favorite whipping boy, the Atlantic Monthly. Okay, what a misnomer, right? The Atlantic Monthly is actually now the Northern California Monthly, right? It's like the Marin County Monthly is really what they are, because they're owned by Steve Jobs' ex-wife,
yeah,
right? Who's using it to advance her own political agenda, right? And so now they're saying things, the Atlantic Monthly is saying things that differs from the positions of Secretary Kennedy. By definition, they're spreading misinformation.
Oh, that means
furthermore,
terrorists.
Furthermore, bingo. Furthermore, they're doing it for political purposes. Oh, they're spreading disinformation. Furthermore, they're spreading misinformation that is intentionally seeking to cause people to distrust President Trump and Secretary Kennedy. Oh, they're spreading malinformation. Therefore, under the definition of Secretary Mayorkas, the Atlantic Monthly is a domestic terrorist organization, QED. The point is, in this battleground of information warfare or fifth generation warfare or psychological warfare, you better be darn careful, because the worm can turn. And suddenly you find yourself on the other side of the coin. And if you have been so glib in accusing others of dis, and malinformation and domestic terrorism, you might very well eventually find yourself on the other side of that coin and you become the domestic terrorist. And I think that really illustrates the absurdity of all of this. And bringing it back to California politics, it demonstrates the absurdity of this hyper-partisan environment in Sacramento that has been enabled and reinforced by ranked choice voting and has just destroyed my birth state. Sacramento has got to be cleaned up with a toilet brush.
That would be the first tool to start with.
Yeah, I think, and so I'm very glad for the opportunity to support you in your candidacy and endorse you. I wish you the best of luck. You know, you represent the core of traditional California, the old school California, the California that got things done, the California that's grounded in agriculture. This, you know, one of the largest agricultural economies in the world, and California needs to get back on track and focus on the business of California and not on the obscure constituencies with their pet grievances. We need a governor and a legislature that will, the state of California, speaking as a California native, looking from the other side of the ocean, the other side of the continent, California needs leadership that'll bring it back and make California great again.
Thank you, Doctor. I look forward to doing that for all the Californians. It's a shame that you felt the urge to leave. I mean, I understand it. So many people, so many friends of mine, they've been fed up. And the worst part is you're so much happier in Virginia.
Yeah. So I don't have a bureaucracy at my door. You know, one of the things coming from the Central Coast where water politics is everything.
Yeah.
when we landed in Virginia and bought our, really homesteaded our hayfield farm that we have, we now have 40 acres that we manage, and 26 of them we own. And it's wrapped around by what in California you would call a river, but where we live, it's called a creek. Runs full time. And we have a well. We produce our own water. We don't have to register how much water we pull out of the ground. And if we decided to pump out of the river, the county and the state could care less. The people that owned it before had a great big cistern in the middle of that creek and a line coming up to a pump, and they would pump directly out of the creek. That's the way things used to be, and it's the way things are in my little county, which is controlled, by the way, by farmers.
It's almost like they know how to work with the land.
Yeah.
And like they can manage it.
Well, and for instance, one of the leading minds in regenerative farming, Joel Salatin, is based in Virginia. We follow regenerative farming principles, and we have legitimately homesteaded this property over the last 8 years. We now have 3 homes, 2 barns, a working horse breeding operation.
That's beautiful.
And we built it from scratch, and we owe nothing on it.
Now that's the dream. Free and clear, all yours, made it yourself. And you're working, but that's the thing, when you work with the land, it takes care of you. You take care of it, it takes care of you. And regenerative farming is something that we need to really bring back. Living soil.
The Best Little Farm or something like that. Have you seen that video? It documents how a couple took some old burned out orchard land and has made it really fertile. And they produce chickens and eggs and all kinds of that stuff like that down in that region just south of Thousand Oaks, which is, otherwise fairly urban. California has some real expertise in regenerative farming. Those people, just like Joel Salatin now is, as I understand it, going to be a advisor to Secretary Kennedy. Wouldn't it be nice if the governor of California had advisors from the California regenerative farming community?
I think it'd be a beautiful thing, especially because you mentioned California, and it is true. California is such a large ag community, a large ag economy.
Yeah.
And
I went to UC Davis.
Right.
One of the key ag school.
You know a thing or two about that.
We're the Aggies.
Yeah. In fact, we actually donated a poultry program to them long time ago.
And my wife actually worked in avian science.
Yep.
That was her major for a while. So we're very familiar with that program. And of course, the veterinary school at UC Davis is one of the top in the world.
Oh, top notch. I mean, even the veterinarians that I worked with when I was with the California Poultry Federation, unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, so knowledgeable and just know how to actually mitigate any sort of
But that was back when Sacramento and the state recognized who the core economic constituencies were in that state, and they built capabilities, infrastructure, and training to support those constituencies. That's where the state needs to be, not in micromanaging your whether or not you're able to put a shovel in your front yard and how much water you can have in your toilet.
Right, empowering people to work with land in a place that's so fertile, that has all these great resources available. But it's about the state empowering the people, not dictating to the people and telling them how you can live and what you can do.
Absolutely.
The fact that we're dumping all this water in California out to the sea, we're not doing anything to harness it and to save it and to utilize it. I mean, they're literally blowing up dams on the Klamath River right now to bring back a salmon population, potentially.
Right.
For a small population of people. They're overlooking...
Or the failure to correct the problems in the water reservoir that led to the Pacific Palisades fiasco.
That breaks my heart, because I literally live 5 minutes from that reservoir. 117 million gallon reservoir, purpose-built for firefighting. Bone dry because of minor repairs that needed to be done that they knew about for
basically
years.
Due to bureaucratic incompetence.
It's the fact that they don't have a streamlined means for addressing an issue like that. Okay, it should be identify a problem, allocate the resources,
Fix the damn
task.
problem.
Right. On to next task.
Right. As they say, not rocket science.
Right. I mean, it's literally a hole in the ground.
Oh, but if your focus is on DEI and serving obscure constituencies, then you're distracted by that instead of focusing on the things that need doing. That's really the story of California, is they've taken their eyes off the ball and focused on obscure, fringe issues, and not if say it this way, maybe this is a little radical. If they had worked through all the major problems, and then they still had time on their hands, then fine. Let's take on issues about minority group empowerment and resolving long-standing imbalances. But first, let's take care of business.
Right. I think there's a long line of things that have been waiting to be addressed in California that the people need for the quality of life. I think people will figure out the social issues on their own as long as you let them work.
Amen.
With each other. Let them figure it out.
And that's this whole cultural Marxism thing. The social issues are being amplified and weaponized, and the question is why? What are the real agendas there? Because that is it's splintering. It's splintering.
Keep us distracted and fighting amongst ourselves, and those in power, they can get away with quite literally murder.
And meanwhile, the 7th largest economy in the world suffers.
I mean, we shouldn't even be the 7th. We should be the 4th. We have all the potential. Dr. Robert Malone, thank you so much for joining me, and thank you so much for your endorsement. You're a brilliant man. You've got a lot of heart, and I know you love California, and I'm looking forward to making it a place
I would
you can
love
come
the
back
opportunity to retire there. Frankly, I still would. I'd love to live in the Santa Barbara foothills, but there's just no way in God's green earth that we can go back to California the way it is right now. I just couldn't stand it.
I understand. I'm going to do everything in my power to make that a reality for you.
Okay, cool.
I promise. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
It's been Leo Zacky with Dr. Robert Malone on American Matters. We'll be right back.
Sliced fresh sandwiches every day, made right before your eyes. The port of Subway could be a smoking number 5 or a classic number 8, or maybe an Italian is your number 1 fave. Whatever you crave, prepare to fall in love. Sliced fresh sandwiches, port of Subs.
We're slicing up the quality you crave at Port of Subs. You know, the taste of your favorite sliced fresh meats and cheeses on Port of Subs fresh baked bread, and all of those crunchy, crispy veggie toppings with your favorite savory sauces. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. It's that special Port of Subs quality and blends of flavors that keep you wanting more. Visit your neighborhood Port of Subs today, and we'll slice up the taste you're craving. Order online at portofsubs.com or on our mobile app.
Whatever yummy number you're dreaming of, sliced fresh sandwiches, Port of Subs.
Have you been injured in an accident? Trust Adriana Guzman-Freilich at AGF Law, your local personal injury law firm in Reno. At AGF Law, we pride ourselves on being honest, hardworking, and ethical. Let's meet in person to understand your case and fight for your rights. Located near South Virginia and Plum, we're always ready to help. Don't navigate the aftermath of an accident alone. Call Adriana at 775-453-9595 or visit adrianalegal.com. Your recovery is our priority, and we're committed to getting you the justice you deserve.
They removed you for not going along with whatever the tech narrative is, because tech clearly has a censorship agenda when it comes to COVID, in terms of treatment, in terms of whether or not you are promoting what they would call vaccine hesitancy.
Joe Rogan announced to his 7.8 million followers that he created an account on Twitter challenger Getter. So why is one of the most popular figures in the media signaling that he could leave Twitter?
What was the particular tweet? Did they tell you what the particular tweet was or what the offense was?
They never tell you.
The story begins with Robert Malone, a guest on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast, who was going viral after he was permanently banned from Twitter. Rogan hosted the doctor and researcher on his show, and now several segments from the episode have gone viral, gaining millions of views.
I'm just hoping that clip where you explained this mass formation psychosis makes the rounds.
Joe's wish came true, and that one segment has been viewed over 4.5 million times on Twitter. Other portions of the podcast have also garnered millions of views, as Rogan and Malone discuss COVID-19 and the heavy-handed actions by the government and big tech companies. Here's what Rogan had to say about Twitter's permanent ban of Malone.
And Jesus Christ, Twitter, put the fucking guy back on.
So who is Robert Malone, and why was he banned from Twitter? Robert Malone is a medical doctor and virologist who is credited with inventing the mRNA technology used in the Pfizer and Moderna COVID vaccines.
I've run, over 100 clinical trials, mostly in the vaccine space, but also in drug repurposing. I've been involved in every major outbreak since AIDS. This is kind of what I do. I know Tony Fauci personally. I've dealt with him my whole career.
Throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, Malone has been a vocal critic of the government's response to the virus and their handling of the mRNA vaccines. And although he is vaccinated and supports vaccines as a medical doctor, he has criticized the way COVID-19 vaccines were brought to market.
Have you taken the COVID vaccine?
So the answer is yes. I've also been infected twice.
In late December, Twitter permanently banned Malone's account for statements he made about the safety of COVID-19 vaccines. Malone says that he didn't receive an explanation from Twitter or a link to a specific post or statement violating Twitter's rules. However, a Twitter spokesperson told Just the News that Malone had at least 5 strikes against his account. Under Twitter's policy on COVID-19 misinformation, an account is permanently banned after 5 violations. Twitter says that they primarily rely on partners such as Reuters and AP to provide the basis of their fact-check program. One of the strikes against Malone's account seems to be related to a viral video from early December, when Malone made claims that the mRNA vaccines could be permanently harmful for children and that the new technology has not been adequately tested. AFP issued a fact check on Malone's video and deemed it false. The outlet quoted a doctor who said, "There is absolutely no evidence that the spike proteins generated in response to the COVID-19 vaccine are toxic." In another video, he made an appearance on the Ingram Angle on Fox News, where he stated that we will never be fully vaccinated against COVID-19, and that the Omicron blows right through the vaccine and the triple jabbed. The Associated Press cracked down with a fact check on December 28th, and within 24 hours, the doctor was banned from Twitter. Although the interview was from earlier in December, it seems that AP chose to issue the fact check because of the attention it received on social media. Oddly enough, the news outlet didn't dispute Malone's claim that vaccinated people can still get the new variant. They wrote, "While it's true that people who are vaccinated can still get infected with Omicron, early research has shown that the Pfizer and Moderna mRNA COVID-19 vaccines are effective at preventing..."